Another reason why I left Christianity, the church, fundamentalism, is because the church blames women for men's misconduct. Now, as usual, I'm going to put a caveat in here because people in the comments generally see these videos as something that's an attack on their church. As I've said in every previous new topic, these are my experiences based on the churches and denominations I've attended and been immersed with for 30 years. If you come from a different denomination or the same denomination I grew up in and you had a different experience, that's fine. If you've had a similar but different or exactly the same, those are all valid experiences. I don't want to be attacked in the comments section by people who are saying that this is not the Christianity they know. Well, these videos aren't about those people. It's about my experiences. And churches do teach their members to blame women for men's inability to control themselves. If you grew up in a denomination that thankfully didn't teach the St. Augustine's dogma about women causing the fall, or they treated women as equal with respect, and they didn't allow men to cowardly shift blame, then you grew up or experienced sometime in your life a more positive experience of religion. But like myself, a lot of people did not experience that. And if you're not a woman, you won't experience the kind of disdain and reactions that people get if you're not a woman in church. You can hear about negative experiences. You can even experience them being in the room or knowing someone. It's not the same thing as having it directed at yourself. Religion, from the dawn of time, blames women for everything. There are denominations, religions, and churches out there that have slowly walked away from that belief system. Christianity, overall, not all Christians believe the same things, which is why there's over 40,000 denominations. If you're part of the more liberal churches that are more accepting, more liberal, and they don't believe in the archaic, sexist version of Christianity, then you're lucky. I grew up in the Southern Baptist, fundamentalist, extreme versions of Christianity. And regardless of what women do, how they dress, how they go about their life, they are always, at least from what I've seen, blamed for every behavior, word, or activity that goes wrong or causes somebody else to stumble, give in to temptation, or have the inability to control their own thoughts and behaviors. And some people will say, well, that's not what Jesus taught. And some people might be right. But it didn't do much to change the view of how men see women. You look at purity culture, one of the most evil forms of Christianity. Purity culture basically strips women of their value, their autonomy, their agency, their sovereignty, and turns them into a valued system. And when I mean valued, I mean you have to meet very stringent guidelines and roles to be considered valuable. If you're not a virgin, if you tempt people, or if you made a mistake and had an affair, got pregnant, or married, or divorced, religion has never been kind to women or people in vulnerable positions. I mean, the oldest doctrine of, I think his name was St. Augustine of Hippo, who created the idea we still universally understand and recognize as blaming women for being easy to be tempted, a person who easily tempts other people, that women are not fully human, and they rely on men, which is why we haven't elected a female leader, because if you go deep into the subconscious of adult voters, they will never see a woman as fully competent and equal to that of a man. And they can deny it as much as they want. But we've had 47 chances to elect a female, an African American, an Asian, or someone from the queer community, and we've only elected one African American president, Obama. We will elect any man over any woman. Men still don't see women as fully human and as a complete whole human being. That's why women are always asked questions about their marital status. And why women are asked, "Where's your kids?" And nobody asks men that. I would say most men wouldn't know where their kids are. Or what their kids' birthdays are. I mean, if women weren't in charge of the domestics and the children, our world would collapse. And it goes all the way back to religion and the patriarchy. How women are expected to dress in church or outside of the church is all about how men can avoid accountability. If you've ever been near or grown up in Southern Baptist churches, they're very patriarchal. Extreme sexism. I mean, they believe it's a judgment to hear a woman speak. Like, how low of an opinion of a group of people that are the majority on this planet, how low of an opinion of these people do you have to view women like that? I mean, every man started out as a woman. And the way women are talked about in these churches is dehumanizing. And we talked about it last time, that the church teaches that all men are obsessed with sex and can't control themselves. And I briefly talked about how this protects predators. How if men are victimized, how it keeps them from reporting it. How women are viewed, how they're not believed due to it's so deep in our psyche. Even if you're not in extreme versions of religion, it's so deeply ingrained in our psyche that if a woman is testifying against a man for misconduct, we still ask what she was wearing. We don't ask that when a child is attacked. I mean, if you ever asked a child what they were wearing when they were abused, you'd probably get slapped by their parents. Rightfully so. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how you talk. It doesn't matter how you walk or what you say. It doesn't matter if you've agreed to something or not. if you can't control yourself, you're a beast. Even animals can control themselves. I mean, I've taken classes in biology. There are animals that understand consent. If a roach can understand consent, men can too. Every man understands consent. Anyone who says they don't understand consent is not somebody you want to be around. We all know what consent is. We all know to keep our hands to ourselves.